going to be recording now?
Yeah.
I've got 1 minute. Get things organized here. Do we have many participants joining us?
I have a few registered, but I haven't got anyone. Oh, I've got one attendee.
Oh, good.
Just a heads up here. I just got a notification that my internet is unstable. So
It's not
maybe
even
I'll see you at the library.
Because Michael just signed on.
Okay, let's start then before we get too unstable. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And our first motion is the approval of the agenda. I have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Brent that the agenda for the regular council meeting held January 26, 2021 be approved as amended. We have amendments, Kathy?
I do. The additions are under the staff reports number 7, and we'll include it under the CI, under Michael's financial and treasury, about budget dates.
Okay.
And then another one under 7K is committees of council. Those are my 2 amendments.
Okay. So no other amendments.
None.
So to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Let me see your hands. Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure pecuniary interest by any member of council and any and general nature thereof of any item on tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none, the minutes will show that. Approval of the minutes. I have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Cindy that the minutes of the regular council meeting held January the 12th, 2021 be approved as presented. Any amendments or discussion?
None.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Maybe if staff could just turn their video off so I can just see councillors. It's easier to see the hands at that point. Okay.
See if I can.
Kathy, you need to stay on because
Under the, yeah. under
you're
the,
answering lots of stuff. Okay,
Absolutely.
mayor's remarks, just brief remarks. We're doing really well with COVID. I see the numbers today have come down to like 1,700. They were 1,900 yesterday. So it seems that the lockdown is starting to work. I did hear today that the stay-at-home order has been extended for another 2 weeks. So it takes us pretty much to the end of February. I haven't seen that in writing, but I'm sure we'll hear about it or get a notice. Our community is doing a fantastic job. Residents are really behaving. I drive out to Highway 7 and the traffic is non-existent on that highway most of the day. So it's amazing how well we have done. So I want to congratulate all of our residents. It's keeping everybody safe. I attended the Roma conference over the last 2 days. Basically, COVID was a lot of the discussions. The province talked about a number of different funds, and we'll be getting notifications on those, but it's pretty much going to stay in place, the funds that we've had, the OMPF and infrastructure grants are going to be there. So they're not deserting us at a time when we need grant money for sure. That's
yes, and Madam Mayor, we did receive the letter today from Minister Clark in regards to the grant and the modernization. So that'll continue.
Good. And apparently the provinces still have COVID money. So maybe once the tally is done at the end of the year, there may be more funds flow if in fact we need them.
Yes, and I think that's what they mentioned about the OCIF, you know, about the service delivery. That's what the monies that we had applied before. So they are available as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more when we do our budget as well.
Absolutely.
Bill?
Yes, I just wanted to say, Madam Mayor, that heavy wind that you heard on Monday morning, that really wasn't a wind. That was the collective sigh of all of the parents having the children going back to school. So I think that's actually good news also. So.
Yes, for sure. And the kids were sighing as well because they were ready to go back.
That's right.
But the funny part is Friday is a PA day. So they're back on PA days already. But a new semester will be starting, I understand, next week. So
yes, and there are a lot fewer PA days this year than in the past. So
yes, yeah. Okay, Deputy Mayor Nikki, do you have anything to add? Okay.
Madam Mayor,
anyone
I have something else just to let you know, and I meant to send it to you to let council know that Cindy received a 97% on her exam on torts. She's doing the law course right now through AMCTO. So I just want to let council know she attained a 97%. And also Michael is back on, has been elected back on the MFOA board. So that's the municipal finance.
Good going, guys.
good job, guys.
Very good.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff.
As Michael asked Cindy, what happened to the other 3%?
You got distracted for a moment, I'm sure.
Right.
Okay, there's no deferred items.
None.
And we are at Fire and Emergency Services, our CFF activity report. I have a motion moved by Sherry and seconded by Elwin that council receive for information the CFFR activity report as prepared by the acting manager of emergency services / fire chief. Any discussion? Any questions or comments for Jamie? Nikki and Bill. Nikki first.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. Jamie, I noticed quite a significant increase for the whole year of OSO district compared to other districts. Is that because they get called out for all other, like they have to get called out for all other calls? And I was just kind of worried in the age of COVID if mixing too many people together would go against our safety plan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy. That is correct, Nikki. As you've seen in the December reports, our vehicle accidents were up quite a bit, which Station 3, Charlotte Lake, responds to all vehicle accidents within the municipality. So that triggers that. But the firefighters do a really good job as far as maintaining their distances. Our response protocols, all firefighters are wearing a mask as soon as they're in a vehicle, and the masks stay on the whole time, unless they're in SCBAs, of course. So, but yeah, that's the reason why Charlotte Lake's station calls have increased in December.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Bill.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Jamie. Jamie, there was a question came up last week in regard to firefighters acting in the position of traffic control at a car accident. And I was trying to get a clarification as to whether or not our volunteer firefighters are actually trained to do that. And if they're not, if they're playing that role, is that creating any liability for the township?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor McDonald. Historically, the fire service has assisted with traffic control when asked by the OPP. The past few years, we've started creating safe working zones, and if that entails closing a lane of the highway or even the whole highway while firefighters are performing their duties, that's what we'll do. I know the OPP will, try to convince us not to close the highway, but when it comes down to health and safety of the firefighters, we do what we have to do to make it safe for them. When performing the duties, we do have additional reflective vests that the firefighters put on for safety reasons. And if that's something that we see an increase of, we have previously ran a flagman's course, and it's something that we should look at going forward at redoing.
Okay, Brent?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't want to give too complicated an ask, but could you give a couple of examples to what other activities would be? It doesn't have to be a definitive list, but just to give us a good sense of the things outside those categories that are already listed.
Yes, so through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron, an example for December, we did a public assist call for a home that the basement was flooding. They had an electrical issue in the basement, and that shut off the sub pump. So we actually went and assisted with deflooding the basement and eliminating any of the hazards within the house. So it's calls like that we class as other. The classification of other is what we're trying to work to not class, so that we can get them properly classed. But there is, as far as the summary breakdown, a flood is not something that we see a lot of, so that's where it would fall under.
Like the cat up the tree.
Well, you know, your crews do a great job, and you get called in to handle a number of circumstances. So I'm glad that you said that, because it gives maybe the public and all of us around the table an opportunity to appreciate how wide and varied your role is, because you don't know what call is going to be coming in. So I appreciate that explanation.
Thanks, Councillor.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, motion's carried.
If I may, Madam Mayor, could I just make a
Go
note?
ahead.
Just to let council know, with the new variant of the COVID that's starting to pop its head in the province and beyond, we've added additional PPE to the firefighters' arsenal. So each firefighter has now their own SCBA mask, individual masks. We're not sharing anymore. And we have a special adapter now that turns the mask into N95 masks. So any medical calls that we go to from this point forward, two firefighters that will enter to do the primary assessments will be donning the mask with the N95 filters. So we're doing the rollout of the SOGs and the SOPs tonight at a special training, and issuing the firefighters their masks. And we're going to take a couple of pictures and post them on Facebook, so that you know, the residents, when they do need assistance and they see somebody with this SCBA mask and the filters and all the PPE on at their door, they're not going to think the aliens are coming. So I just want to make you and council aware.
Good. I think that's a good idea. Okay. All right, let's move on then to Finance and Treasury. Moved by Victor and seconded by Bill, that council approve the check distribution reports totaling $2,010,403,090 as prepared by the treasurer. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. I think that's the first we've had a $2 million list. Is it, Michael?
In quite a while, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's been nice to spread it out a little bit. It doesn't feel so much of pain.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Motion moved by Bill and seconded by Sherry, that council approve the following apportionments of assessment as recommended by Impact for 2020 and 2021 as applicable for the following roll numbers. And they're the roll numbers that are in front of you there. Any discussion or question on any of those? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Michael.
And there goes the plow.
Okay. Administration Development Services, have a motion. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Victor, that council receive the report entitled Naming of Private Lane Richard Brannigan Trail. And further, that the bylaw be passed later in the meeting to amend bylaw number 2002-125 to add Richard Brannigan Trail to the schedule of the said bylaw. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
it's Victor here. Were we not supposed to talk about budget dates? while
Oh,
we still
yes,
had
with Michael. That's true.
You're right, Rick.
I'm not gone, Councillor Hayes. I'm
Okay.
still here because there's a bylaw later as well. So fear not, I'm sticking around if it's easier to do it later, Madam Mayor.
Well, let's do it right now. Budget
So,
meetings. What are you proposing?
Michael, what do you have in February, all right?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, later February would be good, or mid.
Yeah, I haven't got a calendar in front of me, so
Okay. Last time we did it for a whole day. I didn't know if we were doing it virtually. I'm flipping back and forth, so I can't always see you. Whether we're doing it virtually or whether we were going to try and, I think I heard you say something about fire hall maybe, Kathy, or was that for something else?
yeah, well, I think the fire hall's not big enough to get us our 6-foot distancing. If the hall's ready, and Andy's on the line, if the hall is ready, we could probably measure it out to see if we can get our distancing, because I think something with budget might be easier if we do that in person.
It is,
I
but
mean-
I think we're going to have to be careful if we're still under lockdown,
Yes,
whether
yes.
or not more than 5 people can be in one room.
That's
Yeah.
correct. So
So-
really,
It needs to
So-
be a combination.
yeah, so what date would that be approximately, friend? 2 weeks from what, the 11th then it would it be?
Yes. Yes.
I just don't have a calendar, like I said.
So the
So-
24th is a Wednesday. And obviously 25th would be a Thursday.
Yes.
Is
Could
is
do
there a
this-
day of the week that's a preference?
Those 2 days are good for me. Thursday,
so if
Friday,
it's-
or Wednesday, Thursday?
If it's supposed to end on the 24th, if we shoot for Thursday, sorry, rather the 25th, and maybe keep tentatively the 26th open, we can go through it all day, maybe in person. If not, we do it by Zoom.
Sure, that
And
sounds good.
Does
so
that
is there a
work for
preference?
most people? So 25th, which is a Thursday, Victor?
Just in general, Madam Mayor, Thursdays are no good for me. Other days of the week are better.
Friday?
Do you want to
Go
do the
with Friday.
26th? Mhm.
Oh,
Fran,
The 20,
That's true.
Nikki's got her hand up.
Go
the
ahead, Nikki.
26th, sorry, the 26th, I'm in strategic planning for Quinty Conservation.
Okay.
Okay. What about
we'll
the
have-
24th?
well, we'd definitely be doing it by Zoom then.
What about the following week, the Monday, Tuesday?
Which is the 1st of March.
The
Oh,
following-
okay.
And-
1st of March is good for me. That whole week up until Thursday.
Yeah, we can always do it the 1st of March.
March 1st is good for me. I just obviously would caution that it's getting later in the year, and the later we are, the worse it is. So hopefully in 2021, Michael will light a fire under my butt and have it done earlier.
Okay, what about Tuesday, the 2nd of March? Does that work for folks?
Yeah.
Okay with me.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
go March 2nd. If we get a clearance from Dr. Moore, possibly we could go back to the end of February, if possible, if needed. Even if we have a half a day on, say, the Wednesday, the 24th, and then finish up March 2nd.
So, Madam Mayor, so the question to Councillor Hayes and Councillor Gowdy, would a half day work better on those days to get it done earlier? Or I guess Friday, Councillor Gowdy, you're gone all Friday probably.
Just the morning. I'm free in the afternoon. I was just double checking the email.
Okay, thank you.
So Friday
Councillor Hayes?
afternoon,
Are you asking the Thursday or the Friday?
Friday.
Well, you're busy on the Thursday.
I'm busy on the Thursday for most of the day. Friday, I'm good.
Okay.
So how about the 26th?
Well, maybe I'm not good, but I'm available.
That's not necessarily good either, Councillor.
Okay, so
But,
Friday the 26th, say 1 o'clock, 1 to 3 or 1 to 4? If we can.
If we can do that 1 to 4 then on the 26th, Friday, the 26th for certainly discussions, and then another one on the 2nd of March if need be. For the
And
other
the
half
2nd
day.
of March maybe could be a half day or a full day if we need it.
Correct.
Right, good. A half day is
Okay.
great to just do it and get it done, but it's nice to have a brain break and think about things too, so.
Yes, that's true.
So the 26th at 1 and the 2nd, okay.
What time
Okay.
do you want on the 2nd of March? 9 a.m.?
Sure, is 9
Good
good
with
for
me.
folks?
Yeah, and what time are you doing it on the 26th?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
For you, Councillor McDonald, it's noon.
Okay, let's
You
move
better
on then.
That's
You better
good.
get those
Thank you.
braces up around your ears a little bit.
Okay, I've lost my spot here. Okay, we are at
The road allowance closing,
road
number E.
closure. Yes, number E. All right. I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Bill that council approve in principle the recommendation of the CAO clerk to close that part of the on-travel portion of Ardoc Road described as Part 10, 13R 2171 OSO, being part of PIN 36217-0031 as applied for by Jennifer Dawn Butter and Sean Robert Riddell. And that we proceed to a public meeting to close the said road allowance before passing the bylaw. Discussion. This was the little piece that couldn't be used for much.
Correct.
Okay.
Tom has a question.
Tom?
Yeah, I
Go
just
ahead.
had a quick question. I was wondering where that loops in and goes around. Was that the old Ardoc Road and then they moved it over?
Yes.
Yes, it
Okay.
was.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Downtown Revitalization Program. I have a motion moved by Alwyn, seconded by Sherry. Whereas the current downtown revitalization project for Charlotte Lake is continuing its mandate with a completion date of August 2021. And whereas additional funding is required in order to continue momentum on this project to move from planning to implementation. And whereas the Economic Development Committee supports the recommendation of the Downtown Revitalization Management Group to apply for Rural Economic Development or the RED funding in order to continue this program into the next phase. And whereas the County of Frontenac have agreed to be co-applicants and to financially contribute to the project if we are successful. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township of Central Frontenac authorizes staff to submit a grant application to the RED program, February 1st, 2021 intake for a maximum amount of $75,000. And further, that a bylaw be passed later in the meeting to authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to enter into an agreement with the province of Ontario should the application be successful. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? Motion's carried.
There you go, Tyson and Adriana. No
Adriana, you
question.
got your work cut out.
Thanks
Write
a
a
lot,
really good
Council.
application.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Council. We're really excited and thanks for your support.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Public Works is next. I have a motion moved by Elwin, seconded by Brent, whereas council delegated authority to the CAO to commence expropriation proceedings for lands required to complete the municipal culvert road improvements on Henderson Road at Dead Creek. Now therefore it be it resolved that council receive and accept the notice of expropriate parts 1 and 2 on the draft plan of expropriation, and further that council receive and accept the notice to expropriate part 3 on the draft plan of expropriation, and further that council receive and accept the notice to expropriate parts 4 and 5 on the draft plan of expropriation. Any discussion? Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Tyson or to whoever, to Kathy. Have we had any communication other than the one Arnie parcel? Have we had any communication whatsoever with any of the other landowners in the area as to the action that we're actually taking?
No, not that I'm aware of. Cindy?
If we have sent out letters on numerous occasions with our original offer and our notice back in, I guess it was last year, with the plan to indicate that we would be looking to purchase it, and they did not contact us.
No, no response.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, follow-up question in regard to this. So will the process just simply continue, and at some point we will be issuing a check to the value of whatever the properties are, and they'll become township properties? So am I correct in that assumption?
So we provide written notice, or we'll mail out notice to the folks with, after this meeting, there's an ad in the paper that goes in for 3 weeks as well. And then, excuse me, the expropriation plan gets deposited after 30 days unless there's a hearing requested by any of the applicants. If there's a hearing, then we'll go that route. If there's no hearing, then if they don't accept our money, we pay it into court. But it'll be based on the appraisals that we had completed earlier. I guess it was late last year.
Right.
Okay,
Thank you.
no other questions? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion's carried. Okay. Administration Development Services, moved by Tom and seconded by Sherry. The council received the report regarding the appointment bylaw and updated fees and charges bylaw as prepared by the CAO clerk for information, and that the respective bylaws be passed later in the meeting. Any discussion? Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Worship. I have no problem with the charges that the building department is charging for the building portion of it, but I've got a little problem with the development charges that we're charging. To me, these charges seem rather high, and they would discourage, in my mind, development in our area. So I'm wondering if maybe I don't know who would comment on this, Kathy or the planning department. Did we do any kind of background checks on these development charges?
Are you speaking about the Part 8?
Yeah, the ones were on the list. He lists all the charges off for a new building with regards to construction. And also then the development charges are also attached to that.
Okay, well, that would be Andy probably.
I can answer that.
Yes, it'd be Andy to answer that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that the development charges there that I sent you earlier today, Tom.
Yep.
That $9,000 charge. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, actually, I'm talking about, if you look at all the development charges that are listed, I don't have a problem with the actual construction of $17 per $1,000 of value, that sort of thing. But I've got an issue with the development charge overall. Well, that 9,000, is that for every single family detached dwelling?
That's South Frontenac fees. We have no development charges in Central Frontenac.
Okay, well then the other part of your report, if you look at all the other charges for and I'm gonna have to get those here just a sec. The other part here where you've got, or not you or whoever, go down to the $950 for a sewer system, $1050 or $750 for installation and replacement, on-site, these things here, are they KFLA charges that were our development for new construction, or what is those charges?
Those charges are the same as what KFLNA Public Health were charging. And that's what South Frontenac, anything to do with septic systems, on-site sewage systems,
Okay,
is part
Okay.
of South Frontenac's fees.
Well, then, these other,
Accepted what they were charging.
Correct, and that's the same that North Frontenac has already passed their bylaw the same. We're all going to be consistent with our fees dealing with Part 8. So the islands as well as North have already passed theirs. And this is us doing ours because we had to allow, we couldn't do ours any further because we had to allow the respective days to be able to have the public meeting in regards to these fees. So before we can pass the bylaw.
okay, all right, so they're, okay,
Okay,
all right, okay, I'm okay.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, code of conduct. I have a motion moved by Sherry and seconded by Bill. Whereas council approved the code of conduct and complaint protocol on February 19th, 2019. And whereas our integrity commissioner conducted an accountability training and education for council members on November the 19th, 2020, at which time he noted a number of items throughout the documents that needed to be changed. And whereas the most significant change is the delegation of authority to the IC to directly impose penalties and the value of gifts to $300 compared to $10 in our document. And whereas the CAO clerk is recommending that the value of gifts be increased from $10 to $100, which is a reasonable amount. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council approve the revised code of conduct and complaint protocol and to change the value of gifts from $10 to $100 as presented in the report. And further, that staff will bring forth a bylaw at the first meeting in February 2021. Any discussion? So instead of, go ahead, Bill.
Yes, are we going to have another chance to actually look at this and have questions in regard to the overall content of the motion that we're actually entertaining right now?
Yes, I sent you the revised, which is consistent with the other, within the other Frontenacs as well. He wasn't aware. I mean, I don't know if you remember during the training, he made reference to our code of conduct and some things that were different in it. I checked with Frontenac in regards to the gifts, because in the documents that he has presented to council that's in here, it's black-lined. Yes, you will have an opportunity to do that before we bring it back to do a bylaw and make the amendments. He had still had $300 for gifts. And we're talking that the $10 in our documents, not in the code of conduct, but in our employee policy. And when I reviewed it with Frontenac, their fees $100 for gifts and not 300. So I think it's reasonable in the sense is that, for instance, if you have a member, you receive a gift of a coffee cup, for instance. You know, if somebody, with like we do with a lot of our township as Central Frontenac mugs, or certainly with coffee mugs or travel mugs, whatever. If you receive one from another municipality that somebody gives that to you, they're more than $10. So you can't even accept that gift. So my thoughts were, I think at $100 is fairly reasonable, same as what it is in South Frontenac. But I mean, it is council's decision. It's just my recommendation.
$100 is certainly more reasonable than $300.
Correct.
That's too much.
Yes,
think
300 is a
100
bit much.
I think the 100 is reasonable.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. I don't know about you guys, but I don't get a lot of gifts.
Me either.
And that's a good
Watch.
thing.
Now you'll get a coffee mug.
Okay, I have a motion moved by Victor, seconded by Elwin. Whereas council approved the request from Sandra Mose to install a bench in memory of Shirley Frontenac at the October 27th, 2020 meeting. And whereas staff met with Sandra Mose and Dr. Bell to review the location of where the bench is to be installed. And whereas Dr. Bell is not in favor of the proposed location and feels very strongly that the bench should be installed in the Fosse Memorial Park. And whereas the CAO clerk has considered this request further and is recommending to council that in recognition of the contribution that Shirley Frontenac has made to this municipality, that the bench be installed in Fosse Memorial Park. And whereas it would be feasible to consider this park as a memorial park to recognize those individuals who have made considerable contribution to the municipality in general. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council approve the recommendation of the CAO clerk to install the bench in memory of Shirley Frontenac in the Fosse Memorial Park and to consider the park a memorial park in general. Discussion? Sherry?
Just a question, really, I guess, for clarification, since we had the Lions move their monument. You know, I was just curious about if it would be okay to go ahead with this.
Well, I think the thing is too, my recommendation here is more to dealing with individual people
Okay.
than actually organizations or groups. I will mention too, as part of this, and Dr. Bell was very much one of the individuals many years ago, and maybe Fran and Bill might remember, him along with a few other individuals in the community had purchased those properties. There was 2 or 3 of them there, a group, and they were deciding what to do with those parcel of property. And I can't remember, and Fran, you might remember, I don't know if it was to deal with a recreational, you know, they were looking at doing some kind of a building or something to do for recreational purposes. So that they decided not to move forward on that, and they donated those lands to the municipality. So I think that's where Dr. Bell was coming from. So he was very instrumental in that. And he's done a lot, certainly for the community as well. So thinking about that a little further, I think it makes sense, you know, because we have a fair amount of people in our community and certainly within our township that have done and will do a lot for the good for the municipality. And I think by having a memorial park might be something, whether it's even just a little plaque that we can, you know, put up, but that's my reasoning.
Oh, for sure. I would totally support the motion. I just didn't want to appear to look more favorably toward one and not the other.
Yeah.
This is a bench that the community can use and sit on.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Someday we need to look at porta potties, I think, in our village for folks that come to visit.
For sure.
Anyway, that's another story. That's for another day. Okay, any other questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of having a memorial park? Okay, motion's carried.
The next one, Madam Mayor, is the addition for committees of council.
Okay, right. Okay, we have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Bill, whereas council were appointed to various committees during the term of office 2019-2022, and whereas Councillor Elwin Burke was the municipality's appointee on the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority, who has been experiencing attendance challenges and has agreed to step down. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council appoint, and I'll need someone to volunteer, as the municipality's new appointee to Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority for 2021 and 2022. Who would like to take this on? Their meetings are on Wednesday afternoons from 1 until 3, and a couple of committee. Bill?
I'm just trying to think, would that make a conflict with the county council meetings then?
It could be because they start at 1 o'clock, but most county meetings seem to be over by 12:30.
But you wouldn't get to Carlton Place in an hour from Sydenham or whatever, but you're doing it virtually. But we don't know if that's going to
Yes.
continue for the next 2 years or not. So
True.
it would probably, I would love to go back on the Mississippi Conservation Authority Board of Directors, because I think with the changes that are coming in the Conservation Act and what they're trying to accomplish, I think it's important that we keep our voice public there and what we're supporting the conservation authorities. But unfortunately, I don't think I can do it because of the fact of conflict with the county. So.
Okay. Who else could do it? It's the third Wednesday of the month. Victor.
Madam Mayor, I am currently the rep on Rideau Valley. So I have experience. I don't know if there's any, I don't think there would be a conflict because I think Mississippi and Rideau work closely together. I would put my name forward unless someone else wants to do it. So I will leave it to the other councillors to volunteer. But if no one volunteers, then I'm prepared to do it.
Okay. Okay. Who else would like to take this on? It's a difficult if you work because it's in the middle of the day, but yeah. Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
so
we have,
no one
yes,
else.
because we have Deputy Mayor Nikki Gowdy on, she's on the Quinty, so, you know, and then, yes, with Victor on Rideau. And right, it's the third Wednesday, it's from about 1 to 3.
Okay. Cindy?
I could do it if you wanted me to.
Oh, it's, do you want to do it?
No, I can do it. Yeah, I would do it.
Okay. Well, certainly, again, put your hand up there.
It gives me an excuse to
Okay.
visit my sister after the meeting.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna put Cindy's name in here. And I think there will be some minutes and stuff, Cindy, that you can check out to be brought up to date. And I think Sally from the Conservation Authority would be more than willing to meet with the new member to discuss things that have gone on.
Okay.
Yes, and
Excellent.
according to the letter, and I'll send it off to Sally, just reading here that their general meeting is going to be on Wednesday, February the 17th. So that, so you'll know when that is. But I will be sending the resolution and as to the new appointee. So she'll probably get a hold of you then, Cindy.
Okay.
Okay, we got to pass the motion first.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Who
the
moved?
motion
Who
is
moved?
moved by Brent and seconded by Bill. That Cindy Kelsey appoint Cindy Kelsey as the municipality's new appointee to Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority for 2021 and 2022. Discussion. Bill?
Just, I think it's good that Cindy is because Gull Lake is part of the Mississippi Conservation Authority, and she's not very far from the lake there, so she can claim some ownership. So I vote in favor of it.
Bishop,
Okay,
all the time.
all those in favor? Motion's carried. Excellent, Cindy. Good stuff. All right. Committee reports moved by Brent and seconded by Sherry that the approved minutes of the November 4th, 2020 and the draft January 13th, 2021 Economic Development Committee meetings be received for information. Tongue twister. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Tom that the minutes for the Eastern Ontario Trails Alliance Board meeting held December the 10th, 2020 be received for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Bill and seconded by Nikki that council receive Quinte Conservation Authority's November the 19th, 2020 board minutes for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Either my internet's slow or you guys are really slow at putting your hands up. Okay, moved by Victor and seconded by Tom, that council receive the following correspondence for information, and it's 1 to 8. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Elwin that council received for information the letter from Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority dated January 6, 2021, requesting a letter of support for watershed model project for information. And that council support the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority's watershed model project and authorizes the CAO clerk to provide a letter to support the MVCA for this project. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, now this next motion, we're going to need some wording to put in it. Moved by Brent and seconded by Cindy, that council received the letter from Mr. Oatway regarding lack of competition for reliable internet providers for information, and further that he's also got a petition that I don't think, I haven't seen the petition yet, but I did receive his email, and I know that South Frontenac has dealt with this as well. My suggestion would be that his letter, which was a very good letter, and the petition, when we get it together, be sent on to the MPs and MPPs, basically to say, here's another example of the need for a group to look at an Eastern Ontario solution, not piecemeal. And that's what's happening with all the different grants. If you're on one side of the road, you may get a provider there, but he may not want to do any work on your side. So Eastern Ontario, through EORN, is still trying to get the provincial government and the federal government to commit to putting together a project that can be for all of Eastern Ontario. So that's would be my recommendation for this letter. Brent, you've spoken to this fellow.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. The work that you're doing representing us on EORN, and there's a lot of work and effort going into that. But I would also add, what we've done locally, when North Frontenac Telephone came to us looking for use of our right-of-way along the Long Lake Road corridor, we're willing to partner with anybody. So I think a lot of the concerns that Mr. Oatway is bringing up in this letter, I think these are things that we already feel very strongly about and would gladly encourage. I don't think there's anybody around this table that would be not willing to talk to any internet service provider that was willing to come in and make an investment, whether it's an existing venture or a brand new player in our area. So I think that the approach that you're suggesting, that's the right approach. And, I think most of all, I think the people that are behind this, they want to know that the various townships are in their corner, and that, certainly we will do anything we can at our disposal to try to advance things. So I think your approach is the best one, and we should just go that way.
Go ahead.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. So I'm just wondering, are you going to take a copy of this letter to the next EORN meeting and let them know that this is a grassroots movement that's happening? And should we respond to Mr. Oatway in explaining to him the actions that we've taken to support his position?
Yeah, I will forward this to Eorn. Actually, I've got Eorn as one of the members that we would circulate this letter to, and the petition, which would help reinforce their case with the government. But yeah, I think we'll add Eastern Ontario Regional Network along with the MPs and MPPs to the motion.
And follow up with a response to Mr. Oldaway.
Yes.
Just telling him that we're supporting his position and what we've done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the council received a letter from Mr. Otway regarding lack of competition for reliable internet providers for information, and that the letter and petition be forwarded to Eastern Ontario MPs and MPPs and the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, and a copy of this motion be sent to Mr. Otway. Kathy can do a letter and send the motion to him.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, I will.
all right. All those in favor? Motion's carried. It's interesting, at Roma, every minister spoke about the need for reliable broadband. And yet they're the ones with the pocket of money that they're getting it out into these different grants, but it's not going to the real rural communities like ours, unfortunately. All right, let's move on. Moved by Bill and seconded by Tom, that council received for information the email from W. Robinson regarding an ad hoc working group for trail strategy. And further, that council supports the creation of an ad hoc committee to review trail strategy, and that the mayor will sit on this committee. Let me talk about this for a moment. It's a small committee of two. Basically, what we see it being is just a fact-finding committee to find out EOTA's position, ATV's position, and why the snowmobile clubs can make it work with a one-pass system, and what is the problem with making ATVs and EOTA a one-pass system. Might probably not resolve anything, but it will give us some facts that we need to decide going forward what we want to do with our trail. So we'll be talking to maybe Renfrew County as one. Certainly, I think we need to talk to the board of directors at EOTA to see what their position is, see if we can help this one pass system go forward. Any questions or comments?
Who was the other, you said two, your worship.
Wayne
You're on that-
Robinson.
And you?
Yeah, Wayne Robinson and myself. And Kelly Pender is going to sort of help us out getting in touch with some of the other folks in the different counties.
Good.
Because they might be in a different situation than we are here.
Good.
So I'll bring back whatever facts I can find. Bill?
Madam Mayor, I think that's actually a good move, because there seems to be like situation of these various groups not working together, following up with the phone calls that we both got from the Lanark group, where the trail from Sarpent Lake down to the Lanark boundary was not being properly looked after. So I think that this shows interest that we're trying to work with everybody, and so I wish you luck.
Okay, and we'll probably need it. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. All right, moved by Sherry and seconded by Cindy, that council receive any public comments relating to the proposed amendment of bylaw 2014-27, being a bylaw to establish fees associated with the building department for information. Were there public comments?
We do have a couple attendees. If anyone is interested in commenting on this for the public meeting, there's a raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that if you have any comments you wish to make.
Okay, we'll wait for a few minutes and see. Give me a chance to stand up. Do you see any hands, Cindy?
I do not know.
Okay. All right, any comments from any member of council? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Next is public meetings, cemetery bylaw. Moved by Elwin, seconded by Victor. The council receive any public comments relating to the proposed amendment to bylaw 2020-08, being a bylaw to establish cemeteries for information. Any public wanting to make comment on the cemetery bylaw?
If there is anyone, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, go ahead,
just a
Victor.
correction. The bylaw is 2021-08, not 2020-08.
All right, I will correct the motion because it's
Oh, yeah.
2020.
No,
Good
No,
catch.
we're amending 2020-08.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, we passed it back. Wasn't it in December?
So it is
Cindy?
2020-08.
Mhm.
Actually, that bylaw was passed, I think, in January of 2020. And what we're doing is amending it by bylaw 2021-05. Is
Correct.
amending bylaw 2020-08.
Madam
Right.
Mayor, did
Go ahead,
we-
Bill.
Did we skip over a bylaw 2021-04 amending the road naming? Or did you miss it?
No, we're coming to that one.
Oh, I have it on my schedule as the first one.
We're still in the public meeting portion of the agenda, Councillor McDonald.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so no public has raised their hand.
That's correct. I do not see any.
Okay, so council, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, motion's carried.
Okay. I caught up to you.
There you go. I got lost in the motions and not the agenda. Okay, now we have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Nikki that bylaw 2021-04, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2002-125, as amended, naming of public highways and private lanes, to add Richard Brannigan Trail be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried.
Sorry.
Okay,
All over.
all right. Motion moved by Sherry and seconded by Brent that bylaw 2021-05, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-08, being a bylaw to govern the operation of cemeteries, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, discussion, Nikki?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I just have a question. We just did the RFP and awarded that contract of the taking care of the cemeteries. In that contract, does it say that they're responsible for removing all of the decorations and stuff at the end of every year? Or is that something we would have to change and add?
That I don't know. Kathy would have to help us with that.
Okay, talk to you after. I
Kathy,
believe, I have to look, I think I have but normally, Councillor Gowdy, that yes, that's correct, that we'd have them remove any of those, like the old flowers, any of the heads, and I believe it's in there, but I just haven't.
It's part of the fourth paragraph in the bylaw, that if the owners don't remove them, the township staff will
We'll
remove
remove them. That's correct, and it would be our caretaker would remove them.
Okay, and so we wouldn't have to change any of that. That's already included in their contract.
Correct.
Okay.
go ahead, Bill.
I can hardly hear you, Francis, but I'm just wondering, maybe somebody could fill me in. I don't think that the Anglican cemetery on 509 is part of the townships. But
No, it's not.
there is a small cemetery on Kirk's Cove Road that's not listed anywhere, and I don't know whether it's just a private cemetery. And I'm just wondering if anyone has any information on who looks after that one.
No, it must be a private cemetery because it's not ours, but Cindy might be able to answer. Cindy Kelsey.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Sorry. Sheila DeLine was looking after that. I know she did a list of cemeteries.
Oh,
So I thought it was part of the township, one of their cemeteries.
What's the name of it, Cindy?
I think it's Pioneer. I have,
oh, it could be. It could very well be.
I think it's called the Pioneer Cemetery. There's about 10 stones, I'd say, in it, roughly. Oh,
Yeah,
and
we
while
have-
we're on the subject of it, maybe it didn't come up because it has the same civic number as the gentleman's house next to it.
Oh.
Yeah, so they both have the same civic number, the cemetery and his home. So,
You could send a letter to somebody in the cemetery then.
yeah, and he could deliver it.
I
So it
think
might
we
be
should-
something you guys might want to look at.
I think we should actually have staff look into that, see actual who is looking after that and whether or not it's our responsibility.
I know Sheila Devine did a thing of all the cemeteries back here, so she's your girl to talk to. She would know.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, motion's carried. Still on bylaws here. Moved by Bill, seconded by Cindy, that bylaw 2021-06 being a bylaw to authorize borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Victor, seconded by Elwin, that bylaw 2021-07 being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy, to provide for the payment of taxes and provide for penalties and interest of 1.25 per month, and to repeal bylaw 2020-64 be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. We didn't even have questions, Michael.
Nope, thank you for the authority to bill everybody up to date.
Okay. Motion moved by Nikki, seconded by Tom, that bylaw 2021-08 being a bylaw to appoint building inspectors for Part 8 of the Building Code be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion, Bill?
Yes, I'm just wondering through you, Madam Mayor, I see the list of the names. Is there going to be any opportunity for those folks to be present in, say, Central Frontenac, so that clients, rather than having to go to South Frontenac to meet them, would be able to meet them here in Central Frontenac? Just a
No,
question.
that's correct, because the main person that's looking after our area is Matt Doyle. Those are to list of names for if Matt Doyle gets overwhelmed and needs some extra help, they're there to help. But no, he's strictly for our three, and it's just to appoint them in those busy times.
The inspector will have an office at our office, right?
Can't hear you, Fran.
He will have an office at our office.
Correct, he will have a spot, yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried.
And he will be reaching out to Andy probably soon, so they'll be discussing that. Part
I have a
8.
dog that needs out. Sorry about that. I'm surprised he went out in the snow, but he won't stay long. I have to go again. All right, I have a motion moved by Brent and seconded by Sherry. That bylaw 2021-09 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2014-27, being a bylaw to regulate construction, demolition, and change of use permits for building structures and all other related services, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Another bylaw. This is bylaw meeting. Moved by Cindy and seconded by Bill that bylaw 2021-10 being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustment be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? Bill?
Yes, I just would like everybody on the committee, which is a committee of the whole, by the way, and should be aware that this is almost a mandatory meeting, that put your thinking caps on and see who wants to be chair in the upcoming year.
Okay, we'll do that. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. We're at motion number 30. Bylaw, or moved by Elwin and seconded by Victor, that bylaw 2021-11 being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign an agreement with the province of Ontario RED program be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 26th day of January 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. All right. Now, is there any notice of motions?
And
Any giving of notices of motions?
no,
Okay, any new or other business?
no.
Elwin? Got to push your space bar down. Can't hear you, Elwin. Okay, now talk.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
There we go.
back in December, I had asked the question, what's becoming of Hinchinbrook School? I understood we spent money to clean it up and fix it up. So I think it's about time we decided what we're going to do with it now. I'd just like to have a comment from the rest about that.
So that's certainly something we can talk about at budget time as well. Kathy, staff are looking at putting that report together.
Yes, they are. Yes.
Okay.
And if I can just add to that, just so everybody is aware that we are actually hopefully going to be organizing a bit of a film shoot at the school. The CBC has requested that as a venue for a 2-day filming. So we're working with the Kingston Film Office on that. So that may give it some life for approximately 2 days in the meantime.
And just to be clear, it's not about the school. It's about a project that they wanted to shoot in a school, right?
That's correct. And the contract that is being done up will state that there can't be any identifying features used in. They just need a backdrop of a somewhat older version of a school.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we have a motion to go into closed. That is moved by Bill and seconded by Sherry, that council move into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) to discuss matters relating to 1, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, section 239(2)(e). Number 2, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality to local board. Hubert and Sylvia Gray offer to purchase property at Mountain Grove, section 239(2)(c). 3, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on behalf of the municipality or local board, part of lot 11, concession 10, Hinchinbrook, Hoover, S 239(2)(k). All those in favor? Okay, carried. Now, Cindy, you have sent us the closed session link.
Yes, I've sent the closed session link, so we'll close out of this meeting. I'll log into that meeting, and then I haven't sent out any invite for returning from closed session. I'll do that once we're at that point.
Okay, so we'll see
Okay.
everyone in closed session.
All righty.
I'll try, Cindy. I'll email you if I can't get in.
Okay.
Thank you.